Let's go!
What's up, everybody? Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video, and in this video we're going to be breaking down the differences between Iron and Radiant, and in order to do that, we're going to be analyzing the agent and weapon pick rates and the big differences between all the way down in Iron 1 and all the way up in Radiant, and see where they differ and why, and then we can give you some actionable tips about how to climb from the lower ranks to the higher ranks. But the Game Leap website is the only place that you'll find in-depth advanced guides, VOD reviews, tips and tricks, and so much damn Valorant content. If you really want to climb for wherever you are, Plat, Diamond, Immortal, doesn't matter, you can get there with ease using the Game Leap website at a fraction of the cost right now with our special 50% off sale, and included a potential chance to win a one-on-one coaching session absolutely free. So go check it out in the links down below. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. So before we get to the weapons, which are actually a little bit comical, by the way, you're gonna want to see that. Let's talk about the agents, and let's start where we know. Let's start with the top, the Radiant, because that's typically when we talk about meta videos, that's what we're talking about. So you can see it here. I'm gonna flash it up on screen. Just keep in mind before we move on that these numbers might change by the time my editor clips this stuff. So if I'm a little bit off on the numbers, let's just say it wouldn't be my first time. But going back into the footage, we're gonna see like the top of the line. You know all these agents. Jet's at the top, Reyna is in second place, Raze, Omen, Sova, Sage, Killjoy. You know all these agents. These agents are basically the best agents in the game. They see a lot of pick rate, especially like Jet, Reyna, and Raze have a lot of solo carry impact. Omen's just the best controller by far, might even be the best character by far because he just has the highest pick rate. And of course, Sova's absolutely essential. We pretty much know all these pick rates, but I want to switch it to Iron because it's crazy when you look at how different it is from Radiant to Iron. And let's look right here. The #1 character is actually Sage. So we're seeing the character that is all the way down in 6th place jump straight up to 1st, and then past that it's Raze, Reyna, Jet. So there's a completely switch up of those characters. Instead of Jet, Reyna, Raze, now it's Raze, Reyna, Jet, and Sage is just way above them by a giant margin. And then we get to start to see some of the problems of lower rank in the first place. Omen is like the 7th most picked, so you're not even getting a controller in a giant percentage of your games. Now, it doesn't surprise me that characters like Skye, Breach, and Astra are extremely low because they take a lot of synergy, but what does surprise me is some characters that I think bring a lot of intrinsic value are not seeing the maximum amount of pick rate, specifically Killjoy, all the way at number 8, when Killjoy is probably one of the easiest characters to climb with, especially if you're in the low ranks. So playing Killjoy a lot more could definitely help you get out of Iron. Now, something that's interesting is as you see the ranks go up, you see a lot of the pick rates start to reflect that Radiant rank. As the games get more competitive, they become more and more like that. However, Sage still sees a very high pick rate in a lot of ranks until you get to Immortal and Radiant, which is really interesting how Sage is a character that sees such a high pick rate and even win rate in ranked, but when you get to the highest rank in pro play, not as much. Perhaps it comes down to her stalling ability, her ability to make plays and play defensive, or the fact that Resurrect is just a game-breaking ultimate. I'm not entirely sure, so let me know in the comments down below why you think this is. Now, the more interesting thing to me is actually the weapons. So let's first look at the Radiant like usual. We get to see the top weapons in the order that they're picked the most. You see at the top, it's Vandal, you see Phantom, Operator, Spectre, Ghost, Sheriff, Judge. You're seeing all that par for the course. We pretty much know all this because this is the meta weapons. Now, we do see that Judge is being played quite a bit and that Odin is being played quite a bit because the Bucky got a nerf. Remember, the Stinger got a nerf. A lot of those weapons are seeing less and less play, and you really do see some other options as far as that eco buy status. And it's looking like, besides the Sheriff, the Judge is like your secondary option, is what it seems like. Now let's pop over to Iron 1 and look at the differences here. So the Vandal and Phantom are still the top 2. That's basically the true for every single rank. Vandal is actually #1 in every single rank, #1 most picked. Spectre sees a lot of play, but then you go to 4 and 5 and it's the freaking LMGs. You know, all the time I'll put LMGs really low on my tier list, and players will constantly say that they're actually pretty good, and I can see why it reflects that by the pick right here. Now, the thing that you gotta understand is LMGs are what I would call crutch weapons, right? And there are a lot of crutch weapons. It's not just LMGs. Shotguns are very similar, but LMGs reward you with a giant mag size and the ability to wall bang. They reward you even if you can't hit headshots, right? If you don't have very good crosshair placement, if you're not hitting a giant majority of your shots, you have a lot of chances on LMGs. And I think even more important than this is people around you are not good enough at hitting headshots to shut you down. Because if you play an LMG at a higher rank, you have to try to empower its strengths, right? Get that wall bang off. We see that Odin pick rate up in Radiant. You got to get those wall bangs off. You got to play to its strengths. But if you just wide swing an angle with an LMG at a higher rank, you're just going to get tapped, right? But at a lower rank, you can get away with that. And that makes these guns a lot more viable. Now, that being said, I do think that overall, a lot of people that can't improve at their gunplay are relying way too much on these crutch weapons. Whether they're shotguns, whether they're LMGs, doesn't matter, but you're not going to improve just relying on these crutch weapons a lot. And let's talk about the opposite of a crutch weapon, a weapon that just completely hones your fundamentals in the Sheriff. Look in Iron 1 how little this weapon is played at 12th place. Now, I know a lot of people in Iron might not have the best aim and they don't want to just throw the game, but you're never going to develop that aim if you constantly are playing weapons that don't help you develop that aim, right? And I think that's really important for a lot of people to understand. And I do think that there's value in playing weapons that you might not be the greatest at, but you're going to get better at, because it's not like you're going to drop lower than Iron. You're there. Focus on improvement. Don't just try to fight the path of least resistance playing the easiest guns you can to get value, because it's obviously not working. Let's jump to a middle rank and see how much different this aligns. Let's go to like Plat 1, okay? So we're gonna look at Plat 1. Plat 1 is looking a lot more like what Radiant looks like. Not completely. There's a few things that are a little bit different, but it is a lot more in line with the higher ranks. Going back to what I talked about earlier, it's kind of interesting to me that the Odin and the Judge are seeing quite a bit of play, even across ranks. I'm guessing that the reason for the Odin is people wanting to spend more credits, or they have an excess of credits on something, and they don't want to buy an operator because maybe it's even more expensive than that, because typically before, when the operator is cheaper, you would just justify buying that operator instead, but it's quite a bit of difference in price. But the next thing that's interesting to me is the Judge that's seeing a lot of play, and I really just think it's just the other weapons are just nerfed to hell. We're gonna have to see how this meta progresses about maybe a potential buff to some of the other options, but for now, I do think that the weapon meta is actually not that bad. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Do you think any weapons need buffs or nerfs? Some people have been talking about potential buffs for the operator or big guardian buffs. What would you like to see and why? Let me know in the comments down below. But I hope you learned something, or at least got to see the differences between Radiant and Iron and some of the other ranks. But go to the gaming website in the links down below for high quality advanced guides, tips and tricks, and VOD reviews at a fraction of the cost right now with our special 50% off sale. So don't miss out on it in the links down below. But that's all I got for you today. Thanks so much for coming by. I love your faces, and I'll see you next time.